let's just say that every time you fall, you never hit the ground. Let's just say when the day ends, the night refuses to come. Let's just say that if all else fails you, at least you can count on that. Let's just say that a bird in the fist is better than a bird and a foot. Let's just say that the scarlet ambrosia of your innermost longing is the nectar of a God who never chooses to visit. Let's just say that if chance accords possibilities, melancholy postpones insomnia. Let's just say that sleep is the darker side of dreams. Let's just say that sometimes a rose is just a red flower. Let's just say that every step forward is also a step nowhere. Let's just say that the thirst for knowledge can only be quenched if one learns how to remain hungry. Let's just say that green is always a reflection of the idea of green. Let's just say that I encounter myself not in the mirror, but in the manure. Let's just say that each door leads to another door. Let's just say that we think it before we see it, or better, we see it as we think it. Let's just say that a stone's throw might be a world away. Let's just say that love is neither here nor there. Let's just say that the girl is the mother of the woman. Let's just say that without disorder, there can be no harmony. Let's just say that the aim is not to win, but not to lose too bad. Let's just say that a knife in the back is better than a knife in the heart. Let's just say that between sleep and dreams is the reality behind reality. Let's just say that I am very weak and want to take a bath. Let's just say that the truth is somewhere between us. Let's just say that the top of a tower is not a good place to hide. Let's just say that mankind suffers its language. Let's just say a bird cannot always be in flight. Let's just say that we are not far from where we would have been if we had lived better lives. Let's just say that pretty ugly is an aspiring oxymoron. Let's just say if the sun is a rock burning in space, then the earth is a shard hurtling from its designation. Let's just say that little is gained when nothing is lost. Let's just say that the lie of the mind is the light of perception.
Thank you, Charles. Andrew, quick response followed by Dave.
Thank you for the reading, Charles. It was beautiful. Through anaphora, the subjunctive or hypothetical enunciative mode that's cued by the repetition of let's just say, for me, creates this kind of like cognitive suspension, but also a sort of like through repetition, this environment of chanting that allows for the differences and within the repetitions to emerge and kind of blossom, but in a way that hurtles away from its designation as the shards do in this poem.
That's lovely. Thank you, Andrew. Dave's up and Ilan is on deck because I saw your response to this poem, Ilan. Dave?
I really love just the expression, let's just say, because I mean, it can mean a bunch of things, but the thing that comes to me most is that's what you say when you set up an assumption. It's like, lawyers saying assuming arguendo, like, let's just say we accept this as true. And it's really interesting and fun to read a bunch of things to be accepted as true that can be counterintuitive or even almost absurd. It just really leverages the whole concept of what we accept as true.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Elan, followed by Gab.
So the line I think you might have seen me respond to is, let's just say that sleep is the darker side of dreams. I don't know what it is about that sentence, but I just found it so beautiful. I think I was telling you, Al, after class one day that I find dreams really important, and that's why I personally love when it's time to sleep, because I just feel like when we dream, we're so free, and we just learn so much, but we also learn to let go of so much when we sleep and when we dream. But I've never encountered, I guess, this idea that sleep is the darker side of dreams. It made me think of like the darker side of the moon, for example, and I don't know, that image just kind of stuck with me. I've never encountered anything like that before. So
Thank you, Elan. Gab, followed by Max.
I really like the line, let's just say that I am very weak and want to take a bath, because I feel like it's a very human thing to admit to. So in that way, the poem is kind of letting its guard down as the speaker is letting its guard down, and as someone who might say that in their own life is letting their guard down. So I feel like it's sort of breaking away at this like front that a poem or a person is expected to have. That lines up in a really cool way with all the other claims that the poem makes.
Thank you, Gab. I tend to overread all the lines of this poem in relation to 9/11, and if you read, or I don't know if it's probably available somewhere, Charles was putting out daily.
Well, it's in this.
It's in here, okay. Yeah, kind of a description of what was going on in New York at the time. And if you read that in relation to this, you'll realize that this was like a literal thing, like I feel weak and I just want to take a bath. Because everybody was really dirty and dusty and so on. Max, followed by Lainey.
Andrew already put so brilliantly the effect of the repetition of let's just say. I think, but the effect of that repetition also, it changes the sort of the tone as the poem progresses, right? The subjunctive moves into this tone at times of resignation, and then it moves into then this somewhat more optimistic tone, right? And this is all just on this one repeated phrase, this rather banal phrase, let's just say, this thing that we say all the time. We don't actually even really think about what it means or what it can mean.
Yeah. Thank you, Max. Lainey's up and Sophia's on deck.
I'm really struck by the line, let's just say that the truth is somewhere between us, because it's something that in a different context means that we don't know what the truth is, or it's not only one person's point of view, but in the context of 9/11, it has a lot more gravity in terms of, no single person can comprehend what's going on, and even all the people together trying to understand what's happening, we still are not able.
Sophia's up, and then I'm on deck because I feel like saying something.
Well, I'm thinking of the refrain of let's just say, and how it kind of like foregrounds a presumed agreement so as to move forward. Like what's between us is the thing we cannot agree on. So let's just say blah, blah, blah. And then the other person responds, let's just say blah, blah, blah. I feel like there is an invitation for my participation in what would I say if I was allowed to participate in the poem and add, well, let's just say I feel this way. And I think the line, let's just say that little is gained when nothing is lost, speaks to the mechanism of the poem, insofar as we have to have conversations and risk being misunderstood. Because if we don't take that risk to try to find the middle ground, which is the truth that is strung between the two of us, then we gain nothing. And we have to be willing to lose something in order for that progress.
Yeah. I'm going to comment, followed by Erica, please. I just love this poem, and I often think about Charles Bernstein as expressing the values of a radical secular Jewish New Yorker who speaks the King's English. King's English meaning King's County.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
The Brooklyn English is the King's
That's
English.
radical secular Jewish mentality that gets hit by his own post-Harvard experience, realizing that philosophically the ground isn't the ground. And then being a New Yorker and connecting with your aesthetic pals around, but remaining that New Yorker with the comedy of the poetry combined with the, pardon the word, the postmodernity of the situation, knowing there is no ground, and then getting hit by the towers falling, which we thought were, if they go to the ground, then we at least know where the ground is. But let's just say that every time you fall, you never hit the ground. Or in the terms of in a restless world like this is, even the ground that you thought was a rock, Manhattan, can break. That there is no ground. But then there was this moment, being an American citizen, being, as you and I both are, the children of immigration, and particularly of modern secular Jewish immigration, emerging out of that and then realizing that New York is a place that is both stable but teaches you how to fail, just to try to minimize how bad the failure is. And I'm very moved by this idea that falling and failure can never reach a bottom, that you have to suppose, let's just say, where the bottom is. Who's next? I can't remember. Erica, followed by Kate.
How am I supposed to follow that?
I don't know. You're in this category too, aren't you?
I know. I
Secular,
was once a
Jewish
Kings
New
County.
Yorker. You don't speak
most
the
of my life
Kings.
was as a Kings County resident.
Yeah, and you also speak the kind of Bergen County English, don't you, or whatever, wherever your parents. You're not admitting that.
I might not admit it, but yes, I do.
Brooklyn is a metaphor. It's not meant to be a specific dialect.
There are two things that I would say. The first is that one of the things that, we were talking a lot about the content and individual lines. And, for me, I am endlessly struck by the line, let's just say that mankind suffers its language. And, the thing that I'm also struck by is the way that Charles is a formal kind of genius because, to extend a Liszt poem in this way, I think is quite difficult. And looking at the craft of how each individual statement is made and the order in which they come, which I think is something we've been alluding to, I would just bring that forward a bit because it's quite astonishing because the emotional resonance that many of us are pointing to that's grounded in particular lines, that also has to do with the ordering of the lines and the way the tension is building up between the spaces between the lines.
They are new sentences. Absolutely. It's a perfect example of it. Okay, so we're going to go to Kate and Jason for brief comments about Charles's poem, then we're going to go all the way around for final words. Please be brief.
I'm fascinated by the phrase "let's just say" and how it establishes something that's agreed upon as true, or asks us to suppose that something is true that may not in fact be true. And then in this poem, the phrase is followed by all these twisted truisms and aphorisms that kind of doubly show or evince language as the locus of the lie of the mind at the end of the poem. How untrustworthy language renders what occurs in our minds.
Yeah, what are we supposed to do when we realize that our own language is not trustworthy? Where do we go from there? Okay, Jason, briefly on this, and then we'll do final words.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say echoes in my mind to This Is Just to Say, or Williams's apology about the plums. And
Oh, yes, so right.
And in a way, that's a kind of that poem's a confession. But and the other thought is that, I mean, the word just is such a funny word to mean both like righteous and correct and merely.